For me, this is a personal goodbye now because I'm leaving the BBC after 25 years.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most memorable moments people resigned or were pushed out in the middle of a live TV show broadcast.
Do you think you will ever be able to return to Russia, or do you fear that you will always live in exile now?
Number 30, Kevin Keegan.
Yeah, well, what I've done, I've first of all told the players that, this is my last game.
King Kev is considered one of the greatest footballers ever to step onto the pitch. His managing career, however, was more mixed. He oversaw the lowest ever tournament record with England's national team going into the Euro 2000. When a loss to Germany cost a shot at the 2002 World Cup, Keegan immediately announced his resignation to the team in the privacy of a Wembley Stadium toilet cubicle. He then broke the news in a post-game interview with Sky Sports. Keegan soon bounced back by adding a solid tenure as manager of Manchester City to his mostly stellar legacy. Unfortunately, his disgrace and bow in 2000 were also a historic kick in the pants.
I think they're disappointed, but hopefully they can pick themselves up. The talent and ability is there, and the will's there, as we showed second half. Bit of luck, might have got a better result, but Kevin Keegan has given it his best shot.
Number 29, Gail Kim.
Set, ladies and gentlemen.
Hot off a knockout stint with total non-stop action wrestling, Gail Kim returned to the WWE in 2008. Unfortunately, matches worthy of her skill and popularity steadily declined. She finally had enough when she was scripted to get thrown out early in a 2011 Divas Battle Royale episode of WWE Raw. At the start of the match, Kim unceremoniously rolled out of the ring.
An elimination. Yeah, that was Melina who was eliminated, and I believe another elimination as well. Gail Kim, I think.
She followed this off-script stunt with a formal resignation from a league that she felt belittled her. Kim returned to TNA a few months later and retired in 2025 as one of the most respected names in wrestling.
I don't know if they like strong, outspoken women. I don't know. I doubt it. I don't feel that they do.
Number 28, Lou Dobbs.
This will be my last broadcast here on CNN, where I've worked for most of the past 30 years and where I have many friends and colleagues whom I admire deeply and respect greatly.
Political commentator Lou Dobbs' relationship with CNN went back to the very beginning of the network. He was one of their leading conservative personalities until he started pushing buttons during Barack Obama's rise to the White House. He was even credited with bringing right-favored conspiracy theories into the mainstream. Right before the November 11, 2009 edition of Lou Dobbs Tonight, the host negotiated the dissolution of his contract. The hour opened with Dobbs announcing his departure from CNN effective at the end of the episode. The network claimed that he left on his own volition, but many believe they pushed him out for his views. Lou Dobbs Tonight found a more favorable home with Fox Business Network for a decade.
It's been my great honor to work with each and every person at this wonderful network. I will be eternally grateful to CNN, to Ted Turner, and to all of my colleagues and friends, and of course to you at home. I thank you, and may God bless you.
Number 27, Gustavo Macalpin. Mexicali-based personality Gustavo Macalpin pushed a lot of buttons with his political commentary show Ciudadano 2.0. He apparently pushed too far on October 7, 2024. Macalpin's last show included accusations of political nepotism against the husband of Baja California Governor Marina del Pilar Avila Olmeda. During the show's last segment, Channel 66 director Luis Arnaldo Cabada walked onto the set and politely fired the host on the spot. The reason for this humiliating termination was never confirmed, but Macalpin himself supports rumors that it was political censorship. He has since gained more popularity and liberty as an online political analyst. Number 26, Ivory Hecker. What kind of scandal could a Houston Fox affiliate reporter be sitting on? In June of 2021, Fox 26 turned to Ivory Hecker for a simple on-site weather report. Things suddenly got interesting when she announced that she and other journalists were being silenced about information regarding their parent company.
Thanks, guys. That's right. Before we get to that story, I want to let you, the viewers, know that Fox Corp has been muzzling me to keep certain information from you, the viewers. And from what I'm gathering, I am not the only reporter being subjected to this. I am going to be releasing some recordings about what goes on behind the scenes at Fox because it applies to you, the viewers. I found a nonprofit journalism group called Project Veritas. is going to put that out tomorrow, so tune into them.
She said she would be leaking the story to Project Veritas, an investigative group with a history of distorted exposés. Hecker didn't even get to the weather before her feed was cut, effectively ending her position at Fox 26. She anticipated that this would be the response to her divisive declaration. Hecker is now a successful independent journalist with a reputation for promoting conspiracy theories.
At Bush Airport, I'm Ivory Hecker, Fox 26 News.
Number 25, Damon Wayans.
Yes, we've got the whole transaction on videotape. We still got 3 people that saw you kill that undercover cop.
Most featured players on Saturday Night Live know not to rock the boat. But an up-and-coming Damon Wayans felt he deserved better than the meager roles he was getting in season 11. He ultimately made a bold impression in a sketch about Mr. Monopoly in a police investigation. Wayans played one of the officers with stereotypical gay mannerisms, contrary to rehearsals and showrunner Lorne Michaels' no surprises rule.
If the Parker brothers could see you now, they puke. Why you ain't in jail, Miss... Oh, that's right, you're Mr. Monopoly.
He was fired right after the sketch. Wayans has since explained that he knew this would happen, and that audiences basically witnessed his resignation in real time. That kind of moxie ultimately paid off when he started making his own sketches on In Living Color. Number 24, Marina Ovsyannikova. After almost 20 years with Channel 1, news editor Marina Ovsyannikova felt that she could no longer betray the trust of the Russian people. She stormed into the March 14, 2022 edition of Vremya with a poster that decried the Russo-Ukrainian war in English and denounced propaganda in Cyrillic. She then shouted this message over the anchor right before the feed cut.
Marina Ovsyannikova was an editor at Russian state TV station Channel 1. Appalled by the invasion of Ukraine, she made a decision that would end her career and change her life forever.
Ovsyannikova later explained that her spectacular self-destruction was an act of atonement for years of peddling Kremlin propaganda. She was convicted in absentia of spreading disinformation after fleeing Russia with her daughter and has been hiding out in Europe ever since.
Там было «нет войне», русские против войны, и было написано, что не верьте этой пропаганде, здесь вам врут. И, как говорили российские политологи, это в первую очередь был послан сильный сигнал российским элитам, в первую очередь даже не россиянам.
Number 23, Alan Towers.
For me, this is a personal goodbye now because I'm leaving the BBC after 25 years.
BBC Midlands newsreader Alan Towers spent 25 years quietly cultivating mostly regional popularity. Then he caught the world's attention with how he resigned in July of 1997. As Towers closed a daily news bulletin with this announcement, he casually suggested that the BBC was no longer managed with integrity. He had formally quit before the broadcast, but nobody expected him to puncture his distinguished career with such venom. He would later say that it was common knowledge among BBC veterans that the outlet had grown more concerned about budgets than iconoclastic journalism. Whether that sentiment was or still is agreeable, Towers' mic drop secured him as a legend in British media.
When I joined the corporation, it was led by giants. Now I'm afraid it's led by pygmies in grey suits wearing blindfolds. How sad. But times do change.
Number 22, Diana Jojua and Mikhail Sesiavili. Georgia's journalism industry panicked on August 20th, 2019, when the new owner of Rustavi 2 fired multiple people for ideological reasons. That evening, Diana Jojua and Mikhail Sesiavili opened the news show Kuieri with their resignation in protest. They then immediately walked off the set. Program went dark for the next several days. Around 60 staffers also quit afterward. Kuieri eventually returned with a new staff that reflected Rustavi 2's clear shift toward favoring the ruling Georgia Dream Party. Many critics responded by establishing the opposition network MTV TV, which shut down in 2025 over a financial crisis. Some fear that this was in some way related to political pressure. Number 21, Julius La Rosa.
Then rose out to sea, and the sea is very still.
CBS audiences eagerly tuned into Arthur Godfrey's radio and TV shows in the 1950s for singer Julius La Rosa. Little did they know Godfrey was such a demanding manager that he prevented his cast from hiring representation in search of other opportunities. La Rosa had to go behind his back to hire an agent in 1956. So after his performance during the October 19th edition of Arthur Godfrey Time, Godfrey fired him on the air. Granted, this was during the radio-only portion of the show, but from a production standpoint, it's the earliest remembered on-air firing from a live TV program. La Rosa's career thrived after this scandal, which irreparably damaged Godfrey's once wholesome reputation.
Thanks ever so much, Julie. That was Julie's swan song with us. He goes now out on his own, as his own star, soon to be seen in his own programs, and I know you wish him Godspeed, same as I do.
Number 20, Niki Lauda. Considered one of the best Formula One drivers of all time, Austrian racer Niki Lauda moved into punditry and commentating work after retiring from the sport in 1985.
Though in truth, Lauda never really left the paddock. In the years that followed, he worked as an advisor for Ferrari, then as team principal for Jaguar, as well as a TV commentator.
The three-time world champion often worked for the German TV channel RTL for their racing coverage, giving viewers expert knowledge on the races. In November 2017, as the program was covering the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, Lauda suddenly announced his departure from the broadcaster, as flabbergasted hosts Florian Koenig and Nico Rosberg absorbed the news. After 21 years at RTL, the legendary driver felt the time was appropriate to leave. Sadly, only 2 years later, Lauda passed away from kidney complications.
Contrary to Warhol's 15 minutes of fame, was somebody that aimed to be relevant his whole life. And he achieved that.
Number 19, Gus Poyet. After hanging up his boots, Gus Poyet transitioned into a football manager. By 2013, he was in charge of Brighton and Hove Albion, a position he had held since 2009.
What have you made of the team that you've inherited?
I think we got talent, we got quality. Everybody knows in the country, it's no news that we've been scoring goals but not defending very well.
That June, with Brighton having lost on promotion to the Premier League after losing in the Championship playoffs, the Uruguayan was working for the BBC as a pundit, covering Spain against Nigeria in the FIFA Confederation Cup. During halftime, host Mark Chapman announced that Brighton had issued a statement that Poyet had been fired.
Club, let me read you the statement that was issued on their website whilst we've been on air. Gus Poyet has been informed today by Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club's internal disciplinary panel that his employment has been terminated with immediate effect.
The former midfielder had only found out when the production staff gave him the announcement. A bemused Poyet was astonished that this is how he found out, as he had no communication from Brighton. Yikes. Number 18, Mal Walden. Born in England, Mal Walden relocated to Australia and had a legendary reign as a news anchor for Network 10 before retiring in 2013.
Well, now it's time to step down and hand the baton over to Stephen, and believe me, there is no one more deserving. So thank you, Melbourne. Thank you, Victoria.
With a career filled with highlights, one of his biggest happened in March 1987. At the time, Walden was leading the 7 Network's HSV7 news team. At the time, 7 Network had recently been sold by News Limited to Fairfax. As such, there was speculation that sweeping changes were incoming. Just minutes before he went on air, Walden was told that he was fired by the new management. The frustrated news anchor informed the audience that this was his last bulletin, as he was being booted out.
In case you haven't heard by now, this is my final news bulletin. The new management of Channel 7 wants to make another change, and this time it's me.
Number 17, Mark Mester. When news anchors leave a station, traditionally, the situation is addressed on air, and they get to say goodbye to the audience and their co-workers. But in September 2022, Lynette Romero, after over 2 decades with KTLA, abruptly left the channel to work on KNBC.
Good morning to you all. I'm Lynette Romero. I am so happy to be here. I keep saying this, but my heart is so full. You know how you feel like your heart's gonna burst?
Yes.
When you're so excited.
That's a good. Shortly after, her former co-host Mark Mester went off script while on the air. He apologized to the viewers for how Romero's departure was handled by the channel and slated the rudeness by management.
What the viewers experienced was rude, it was cruel, it was inappropriate, and we are so sorry. I also want to say sorry to Lynette Romero, because Lynette, I love you so much. You literally are my best friend. You did not deserve what happened to you.
After Mester emotionally described Romero as his best friend, he criticized the show's general manager. Shortly after, the anchor was suspended by KTLA before he was fired a couple of days later. Number 16, Glen Kuiper. From 2006, Play-by-play announcer Glen Kuiper had been synonymous with the California MLB team, the Oakland Athletics. But in May 2023, he threw that storied history away. At the time, Kuiper was doing the pre-game broadcast alongside Dallas Braden for the A's before they took on the Kansas City Royals. He was meant to talk about his experience that day of visiting the Negro League Baseball Museum in Kansas City, Missouri.
He was talking on Friday about visiting the Negro League's Baseball Museum in Kansas City, but it sounded like he used the N-word to describe the museum during the pregame.
Instead of saying the name correctly, he uttered a racial slur. Even though Kuiper apologized on air, claiming he had mispronounced the word, the damage was done and the inevitable was coming. After being suspended, within a couple of weeks, the veteran broadcaster was fired by the Oakland Athletics.
Kuiper himself released a statement calling it a mistake. He also stated that he's not a racist and described himself as an honest, caring, and respectful husband and father who would never utter a disparaging word about anybody.
Number 15, Joey Bishop. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr. are all fondly remembered as figures in the legendary Rat Pack group. But one member who's often forgotten about is Joey Bishop.
Listen, I'd like to get serious for just a moment. You know, every time I say something to Dean...
You'd like to get serious? What are you, cracking? You sick or what?
After his sitcom ended in 1965, he transitioned the title of it, The Joey Bishop Show, into a talk show in 1967. The program was noted for Bishop's sidekick and announcer Regis Philbin getting his big break.
So far, it's a real hip show.
Hey, I want to tell you, I feel like we're just at the right time, too.
But by December 1969, things had changed for Bishop. As the comedian performed his monologue, he suddenly announced that this was his last show, shocking the audience in the studio and at home. Bishop then left the set, leaving Philbin to host the rest of the show by himself. Number 14, Jeff Jarrett. Back in the 1990s, the Monday Night War was underway as WWE faced WCW in a ratings battle. During this, wrestlers often switched companies for better deals and pushes.
You packed your bags and you walked out on Vince McMahon and the WWF.
It was one of the greatest nights in Jeff Jarrett's history, because that is the night that I said, Vince McMahon, you will no longer run my life.
In 1999, Jeff Jarrett's contract had expired, and he was off to the WCW. However, he was the Intercontinental Champion in WWE. Double J reportedly held the company hostage for a six-figure sum to drop the title to China before leaving, which WWE owner Vince McMahon reluctantly agreed to. But in 2001, WWE purchased WCW. As fans frothed at the mouths with dream matchups, McMahon took one out of the equation brutally. Appearing on WWE Raw in March to announce the deal, he got his revenge by publicly firing Jarrett by famously saying he was gone.
I would suspect that we'd spell it a different way after tonight. That would be capital G, double O, double N, double E. Gone.
Number 13, Elysse Morgan. For around 15 years, Elysse Morgan worked for ABC News in Australia, eventually becoming one of the program's main business reporters. She famously hosted the segment The Business on the show that focused on financial news.
To the national obsession, house prices. They rose another 1% in December, according to CoreLogic, bringing the annual increase to a staggering 22%, the strongest year since 1988.
In December 2022, Morgan discussed the monetary losses of various tech companies throughout the year before transitioning to statistics of people that had been fired compared to those that had left their job willingly. At this point, the host mentioned that she was leaving her role on the news program to, quote, go and do finance.
For the first time, the number of people who were fired from their last job is now lower than the number of people who quit. And after 15 years at the ABC, I'm one of them. Leaving voluntarily, that is. I'm going to go and do finance. That's finance.
Morgan had gotten a position with investment firm Stafford Capital Partners, which began in 2023. Number 12, Keith Olbermann. After getting his big break with ESPN on SportsCenter, by 2003, Keith Olbermann had arrived at MSNBC to host his own political show, Countdown with Keith Olbermann.
More details on the healthcare industry's covert attempt to submarine the healthcare reform they promised to facilitate.
By late 2010, his relationship with the broadcaster reached a boiling point when it was discovered that Olbermann had donated to political campaigns without MSNBC's approval. After a brief suspension, he returns to his show. But in January 2011, while on the air, Olbermann announced that this was his last show on the network and thanked numerous members of his staff for their work over the years, leaving out specific management.
I think the same fantasy has popped into the head of everybody in my business who has ever been told what I've been told, that this is going to be the last edition of your show. You go directly to the scene from the movie Network.
Not long after the shocking event, it was announced that Current TV would host Countdown with Keith Olbermann, which lasted until 2012. Number 11, Antonio Brown. Not many pro athletes have made such a statement when heading off for new pastures. In January 2021, the highly decorated NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as they took on the New York Jets. Instead of celebrating the win, discussions were on Brown's astonishing actions. In the third quarter, he removed his kit and waved goodbye to the fans before departing the stadium.
Obviously, they were unable to do so. He tossed his shoulder pads, stripped off his shirt and glove, threw those into the crowd, then ran across the field while the teams were still on the field, giving the crowd a peace out sign.
Afterward, head coach Bruce Arians stated to the media that Brown was no longer with the franchise, and his contract release was announced shortly after. Arians claimed that he had tried to bring Brown on in the game, but he refused, while Brown claimed that the Bucs had covered up his ankle injury.
You said originally they told you that the ankle injury was so bad that it should have been non-weight bearing for how long?
6 to 12 weeks.
6 to 12 weeks. So you came back sooner than expected.
Yes.
Number 10, Shepard Smith. Over the years, Fox News has garnered a reputation for its conservative leanings and support of like-minded politicians. However, one pundit who stood out in that regard was Shepard Smith.
A personal moment now. Gathering and reporting the news has been my life's work.
First joining the team in 1996, Smith wasn't known to be someone who let his opinion be compromised. He consistently criticized former President Donald Trump, who would often criticize him back. In 2019, after feeling a strain among his contemporaries, Smith announced his resignation live on his show.
Recently, I asked the company to allow me to leave Fox News. After requesting that I stay, they obliged.
Despite the non-specific locker room drama, Smith handled the announcement professionally, having previously informed his superiors.
Even in our currently polarized nation, it's my hope that the facts will win the day, that the truth will always matter, that journalism and journalists will thrive.
He subsequently made the move to CNBC, where he worked until 2022. Number 9, TV Rain staff.
TV Rain, known as Dojd in Russia, has entered the world of streaming and is now on YouTube from Latvia. That means with a VPN, Russians can once again access the very same coverage that government tried to censure.
The 2022 escalation of the Russo-Ukrainian war was the last straw for media figures throughout Russia. A string of resignations kicked off in a big way with the end of TV Rain's March 3rd news broadcast. The network's entire staff resigned, declaring their opposition to the war as they walked off set. TV Rain then ran a performance of Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake, in reference to when Soviet outlets were prevented from covering the 1991 attempts to overthrow Mikhail Gorbachev. The network then moved operations to Latvia, where it continues to oppose the Russian state narrative on international TV and online.
How should you talk to people? How should you talk to those who still believe that this so-called special military operation is the right thing to do? I don't want to hate these people. I want to understand why they are thinking so. And I want to talk to them. I want to explain them. I want to put the facts in front of them.
Number 8, Jack Paar. This resignation came all the way back to the early days of live TV. Tonight, starring Jack Paar, ran from 1957 to 1962 and would eventually become the Tonight Show that we know and love today. But there was a 3-week period within that run in which Paar had technically resigned.
I am opposed to purposely plotted risque material. I am more vehemently opposed to yellow journalism.
During one show, for which only the audio has survived, Paar was blindsided when NBC censors replaced a joke about toilets with news coverage. Known to be temperamental, Paar hastily announced his departure live on the air, saying, quote,
"There must be a better way of making a living than this."
After being persuaded to return, Paar came back and answered his 3-week-old query with, quote, "There isn't."
If you're on the front page of the New York Times a story about a show that's on your air, people are going to be tuning in. I mean, you're building an audience. So Jack had a good audience in making money.
Number 7, Cindy Michaels and Tony Consiglio. 2 on-air resignations for the price of 1.
And finally tonight, this will be Tony and my final show together here on ABC 7. The last 6 years have been an interesting and enjoyable time for both of us, as we have been the longest-running news team in Bangor.
In 2012, Bangor, Maine anchors Cindy Michaels and Tony Consiglio kept their sudden departure from the station a secret from their co-workers until they had a camera in their face.
Some recent developments have come to our attention, though, and departing together is the best alternative we can take.
They were purposely vague about the why of it all, but Michaels later told the Bangor Daily News that the treatment of staff from higher up was unacceptable. In any case, she and Consiglio handled their on-air announcement with poise, with the former even plugging her future endeavors.
We'll still be around. I'm going to pursue a freelance writing career and concentrate on a novel I'm writing and some painting, but we'll be around.
Yeah, and I will be continuing on my career in another capacity.
We have designed a new set for you, which is coming in December. Unfortunately, we won't be here to sit on it. I really wanted to see it.
It's too bad they didn't get to appreciate the new set. Number 6, AJ Clemente. We all can get a little nervous when starting a new gig, but most of us don't have the added pressure of being live on TV for it. AJ Clemente did, and he might have set the record for the quickest on-air firing. In 2013, Clemente joined his first broadcast in Bismarck, North Dakota, but commemorated the moment with some choice expletives right off the bat.
Good evening, I'm Van Tew. You may have seen our newest report, AJ, on NBC North Dakota News.
Apparently, Clemente didn't realize he was live, with his comments slightly throwing off co-anchor Van Tew. Tew tries to introduce him, but Clemente's jitters continue, saying something to the effect that he's used to being from the East Coast.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, AJ.
Thanks, Van. I'm very excited. I graduated from West Virginia University, and I'm used to, from being from the East Coast.
Obviously, Clemente was fired almost immediately after, but he definitely gave the internet a chuckle or two.
Were you aware that you were on the air?
I had no clue. I had no...
Y'all so wrong for that. Precautionary bleep.
Wait, are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, we're live.
We're
live.
Number 5, Chris Matthews. Beginning in 1997, Chris Matthews hosted his show Hardball on CNBC and MSNBC for 23 years. But in 2020, it was a scandal that prompted him to hang it up for good, or so it seemed at the time.
This is the last Hardball on MSNBC, and obviously, this isn't for lack of interest in politics.
At the top of the show, Matthews announced that he was retiring, citing multiple factors, most notably his inappropriate comments towards women.
A lot of it has to do with how we talk to each other. Compliments on a woman's appearance that some men, including me, might have once incorrectly thought were okay. We're never okay. Not then and certainly not today. And for making such comments in the past, I'm sorry.
Throughout his career, Matthews had been called out for sexist speech directed at people like Melania Trump and Sarah Palin. An inappropriate exchange with journalist Laura Bassett had most recently come to light, likely leading to the resignation.
But remembering Humphrey Bogart and Casablanca, we'll always have Hardball. So let's not say goodbye, but till we meet again.
The retirement didn't last too long, though, as Matthews returned to MSNBC as a political analyst in 2022. Number 4, Gwen Dean. This might be the most creative way to quit over the airwaves.
Let's talk about dreams and the people who choose to pursue them. Like Gwen, a machine engineer from New York.
The web hosting company GoDaddy has become known for their memorable and often provocative Super Bowl commercials over the years. But their spot during the 2014 game had some real-world implications. Alongside actor John Turturro, Gwen Dean quit her job as an operator of refrigeration machinery in the middle of the commercial to pursue her dream of starting her own puppet performance company.
Hi, Ted. I quit.
She just quit her job.
Yep.
In front of 100 million people.
Ciao, baby.
It turns out Ted really was watching and texted Dean immediately to tell her how much he loved the ad. Sure, Dean wasn't technically live at the time, but the commercial sure was, and it was glorious.
There's a lot of satisfaction of having had a good show. And it is just icing on the cake when the kids go crazy at the end and give me, great standing ovations. I mean, what other profession would that happen in?
Number 3, Tom Brennaman. Tom Brennaman falls into the camp of AJ Clemente, only his blunder was way, way worse.
Reds Live, the pregame show presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing.
In 2020, Brennaman was working as the announcer for the Cincinnati Reds baseball team. But his employment with the team came to an abrupt end when he was caught on a hot mic. Unaware that he was live, Brennaman was heard using an anti-gay slur to describe the city of San Francisco.
If I have hurt anyone out there, I can't tell you how much I say from the bottom of my heart, I'm so very, very sorry.
In the second game of that day's doubleheader, Brennaman was yanked from the booth, but not before he addressed the situation. Well, that and the home run ball from Nick Castellanos.
I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run.
While Brennaman wasn't officially suspended until later that night, pretty much everyone knew he was done, including him.
I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again. I don't know if it's going to be for the Reds. I don't know if it's going to be for my bosses at Fox. I'm going to apologize for the people who signed my paycheck. For the Reds, for Fox Sports Ohio.
Number 2, Liz Wahl.
Last night, RT made international headlines when one of our anchors went on the record and said Russian intervention in Crimea is wrong. And indeed, as a reporter on this network, I face many ethical and moral challenges.
Liz Wahl is an American journalist, but she worked at the U.S. branch of the Russian TV network RT from 2011 to 2014. In February and March of 2014, Russia enacted the annexation of Crimea, which was illegal under international law. Wahl, incensed over how RT was downplaying Russian President Vladimir Putin's actions, stepped down during a live broadcast.
I'm proud to be an American and believe in disseminating the truth, and that is why, after this newscast, I'm resigning.
The clip immediately went viral, with Wahl's decision garnering mixed reactions both within and outside RT. Wahl went on to report for Newsy, and in 2020 announced her candidacy for the U.S. House of Representatives in the state of Texas. She, however, wasn't elected.
My goal at the time was to warn the world, or whoever would listen, about the dangers of Russian propaganda and the way it was using even Western voices.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Charlo Greene. Quitting on air doesn't get more meta than this.
The Vote No on 2 campaign says the vote on November 4th has nothing to do with medical marijuana.
In 2014, Charlo Greene was working as an anchor for a station in Anchorage, Alaska. She was reporting a story about a medical marijuana club when she suddenly revealed that she was the owner of said club. She then completely burned her bridges by announcing she was leaving the station to devote all of her time to marijuana reform and letting out a word you really can't say on live TV.
And as for this job, well, not that I have a choice, but it, I quit.
You seriously couldn't write this stuff, but the story gets weirder. In 2015, Greene's club was raided by local police, who then arrested and charged her with multiple counts of misconduct involving a controlled substance. Greene avoided jail time, but paid a hefty fine.
And even if we didn't get past the vote, I don't think I would regret the actions that I took up till that point.
What are some other memorable on-air walk-offs? Issue your statement in the comments.